Hello, boys, girls, and squirrels. This is Daniel, and today I want to talk to you about managing your low end. Specifically, I'm going to talk to you about an awesome trick that you can do to get your kick drum and your bass instrument to gel together and have their own space and be powerful in their own areas and shine in their own areas. Often these two instruments can step on each other and it can create a muddy low end. And getting your low end right, it's the difference between a professional sounding mix and an amateur sounding mix. And so this I really believe is an advanced tip, and I'm going to give you one trick, but then I'm going to give you a bonus trick that I do sometimes, which can really be awesome. And in this example, I think you'll hear what it can really do to the low end of your mixes. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. So the first thing that you want to do, I've got the kick drum and the bass drum. I'm sorry, the kick drum and my two bass instruments soloed here. And I've got actually two basses in this track. One is an orchestral bass, bass one is an orchestral bass. And then I've got a sub bass, which is like a sub synth sound that I have mixed underneath the orchestral bass, which is just really filling out the lows. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at my kick drum, which is what I have the FabFilter EQ on. And I want to find out where my fundamental low frequency is happening with the kick. And so what do I mean by that? I mean, like, where is the low end punch happening in the kick? What frequency is it happening in? And an EQ like this, obviously you can use any EQ like this, but the FabFilter is great because you can really see what's happening in that low end, and you can see where that fundamental bass frequency is coming through. So I've got one bar just on a loop here, so we can just listen to this orchestral kick sound. And I'm going to unsolo these, and then we can just let it loop a little bit so you can see what's happening in the kick drum. And we want to find out where's the fundamental low frequency happening in the kick drum. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. All right, so that's what I love about the FabFilter. It's giving me this curve that I can look at even after the sound is done. So it's looking like right about here is where the fundamental low frequency is happening. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that and just pull it down so we can just take a look. Okay, so it's telling me 91. So I'm going to go ahead and make that an even number. Let's make it 90. And that's actually kind of high for the low fundamental note of a kick drum. Oftentimes you're going to find it closer to 60 hertz in rock songs, electronic songs. But this was like a big timpani, and obviously I have lots of effects on it. So, but this is going to work. So 90 hertz is where our fundamental power of that kick is coming through in. So what I want to do first off is let's go ahead and take it down to negative 2 dB. Actually, scratch that, positive. So let's boost there, positive 2 dB. But I'm going to tighten up the slope because I don't want to affect a lot of the frequencies around it. I want to just really get a tight boost in that area where that fundamental kick frequency is coming through. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that EQ over to the bass, over to the orchestral bass. And I'm going to, instead of boosting 2 dB there, I'm going to take out 2 dB there. So I'm going to take 2 dB out there. Now, first, when you do something like this, listen and see what's happening. You never want to just do something to do it. You need to listen, bypass the EQs, put them back in. Make sure that this is actually helping and doing something that is desirable to your mix. What we're trying to do is we're trying to carve out some space for the kick drum to live in that low frequency area and for the bass drum to live in a little bit higher frequency. Now, most mixes, this would be true, I would say, across most genres. There's going to be very few exceptions. In most genres, your kick drum is going to be your lowest frequency that's happening in the mix. There may be some exceptions to that, but most of the time, your kick is the lowest frequency instrument. And so that's why we went to the kick first. We found out where does this live in that low end so that I could bring that out even more, and I'm tucking back the bass in that same area. Now, of course, there's going to be times where you're like, you know what, I've got plenty of 90 hertz or 60 hertz happening, and maybe you're not boosting, but maybe you're just finding out where that frequency is happening in your kick so that you can go to your bass and take it out. So obviously listen, figure out what's right for the song. But in this instance, that boost, you're going to hear in a second, and the cut actually did something really cool. Okay, so now if that's all you do, that will be a helpful tip for you. But I'm going to take it a step farther today. I'm going to show you an advanced trick with using this same thinking. I'm going to go ahead and solo the orchestral bass, and we're just going to listen to that for a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hunt around for a frequency. Probably it's usually going to be between 120 and 200. I'm going to hunt around for a frequency in the bass where it's adding a nice warmth. I'm going to find out where it's really kind of a nice warmth that's happening in that area between 120 and 200. And I'm going to bring that out. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to solo that. Starting at about 120. So that sounds awesome. I mean, there's a lot of frequencies in there that sound good, but I'm liking 150. It's like it's adding a warmth, and it's adding like a subtle bit of like gritty texture. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up because I don't want to affect this frequency down here. So I'm going to tighten that up, and then I'm going to also change the slope to where it's kind of same thing we did with the cut. I'm going to get a tight slope. There we go, because I don't want to really affect this, but I am going to get this nice little boost here. So let's go ahead and boost it up to 2 dB. And so we're at 150 hertz. Let me just change that to exactly 150. Now, as you guessed it, I'm going to go back to my kick drum, and I'm going to find that same frequency, 150 hertz, and I'm going to dip at that frequency. So let's go -2. So I'm doing +2 in the bass, -2 on the kick, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tighten up the slope so that we got this nice little cut right at 150. So now I'm going to copy that to my sub bass channel. So now again, here's my kick channel. I've got the boost and the fundamental low, and I've got the cut and that little bit higher warmth frequency where I'm liking the sound of it in the bass. And if I switch over to the bass, as you can see, I'm doing the opposite on both the bass tracks. So I'm going to go ahead and play these, solo them all together. And I want you to listen to them first bypassed, and then I'll kick in the EQs and see if you can hear the difference. Again, this is just one measure looped, but you'll be able to hear the difference. Okay, this is bypassed. In. Okay, bypassed. In. Wow. So I hope you're listening on good headphones or good monitors, but even if you're listening on like good earbuds, you should be able to hear this. What is happening? Well, both instruments sound better. Both instruments sound bigger. Both instruments sound more defined. It's not extreme, but it's definitely, you can hear it. You can definitely hear the separation happening when I put the EQs in. You can definitely hear that both instruments all of a sudden sound thicker, and both instruments have their own space. So it's just a simple little trick, and you could use any EQ to do this. And try it out. As always, again, try it. See if it's helping. If it's not helping, don't do it. But if it sounds good, it is good. That's the rule in audio. Do what sounds right. Do what sounds good. And so to me, that one little trick just did a whole lot to the low end. It really gave those two instruments more life and more separation, which is the point. And again, this is what separates a professional sounding mix versus an amateur sounding mix, is really nicely defined yet powerful instruments across the spectrum. So I hope that helped. I'll play it again one more time just so you can hear it. So I'll do it one more time. Let me put in bypass. So this is bypass. In. Yeah, both instruments just sound better and sound more defined. So I hope that helps, and I hope this is something that you can use immediately in your productions. I use this a lot, not always. There's sometimes where things are just gelling and I don't need to do this. So you don't have to ever do anything just to do it. Try this and see if it's helping. And if it's helping, then goal, mission accomplished. We're getting a tighter low end, we're getting a thicker low end, a more defined low end. So I hope that tip helped you today. If this video, if you like this video, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. And thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day.